Okay, we've got our handle all cut out and laid out properly. So let's finish off this edge. Now, as you can see, that's where we're at now. We've got the handle profile in. Now we're going to heat it up one more time and knock that a little square. Finish off just the very tail end of this so it's not going to have any sharp edges to get caught or snagged on. And then we'll hot rasp the rest of the blade out and we're done. Okay, we've got our blade cut and edged. Now the whole blade's been heated up. We're going to hot rasp it. That's where we take another horse rasp, the rough edge of it, and I'll tell you what, guys, this is just as fast as if you were using a grinder at home. There we go. Okay, we've got our blade rough ground down as much as we're going to get it on this heat, because if you heat the steel up too many times and don't work the steel, it's actually going to cause grain growth, which will make the blade very, very brittle. So what I've done is laid that down in the fire, letting the back edge cool off just a hair around before we put it in the quench. It's a high carbon steel. You don't want to quench it at just a bright red or it will be too brittle. So now it's just a straight in and don't move it. And it's done hissing, and it's cold. And you got a nice straight edge on it. And now all that's left is a little bit of draw file work to draw this down into a sharper, finer edge. Temper it one time. Blade's ready to go.
Well, so far the knife is coming along pretty well, and I'm real impressed. Now remember, this is not some kind of a finished production blade. This is a down and dirty, make it quick, get it out into the field kind of blade that Jason makes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over gears a little bit. We want to go to show you how to set up a primitive forge out in the bush.
Okay, now for the primitive forge setup, there's several ways you can get air into your fire. The primary thing with a forge to get metal hot enough to actually blacksmith or to work is to get extra oxygen into the fire. Just normal air, for the most part, isn't going to do it. Now, if you build a big enough fire, you can get away with that. But we're not going to try to build a big, huge fire here and waste all the firewood. So what we've got is just a simple piece of steel tubing. Now, you can use steel tubing, you can use copper tubing, aluminum tubing, any metal tubing that you can fashion the way you need it. So from here, the trick is to get your blowpipe down into the fire. The lower the fire you go, the better it is. Heat will rise up and get your steel nice and hot. So that's it. Now what we're going to make is a small little camp cook set out of 2 pieces of 3/8 mild steel rod. You can pick this rod up at any Home Depot. We've already cut these off to length just to make this go a little bit quicker. If you absolutely had to cut them out in the field, you can just take and bend it back and forth about where you want the length at. Eventually it's going to break, it's going to stress fracture. So let's go ahead and get these pieces in the fire, get both of them hot, and we'll get right back with it. Okay, now we've got our knife. It's already been heat treated. We've cleaned up the edge, ground it down real quick. Now we're going to have to temper it, which means we're going to pull some of that extra hardness out when we quenched it, bring it back down so it's a usable edge. If you just leave it straight hardened, the minute you hit something good and hard, it's going to run the risk of chipping off a piece of the blade. So what we do is we're going to set this in our little campfire here to add with that primitive touch. We've got our campfire here, so you're going to want to find a spot where you can set your hand bare. Probably with a glove's not the best idea, but bare, and hold it for about 10 seconds before it gets too warm, and you've got to pull your hand back. That'll give us about the right temperature we're looking for. So we're just going to set this right here, close to the fire, but not right in it. And while we're working, we're going to keep an eye on that blade, because as soon as that silver part starts to turn to a yellowish color, we're tempered. We're good to go.